4 pilots from Western Canada have died in a plane crash. It happened off Adelaide Island in Antarctica. 3 of the pilots were from Alberta.
It happened here, at the bottom of the world. In the frozen isolation of Antarctica, something went tragically wrong. This plane, owned by Ken Boric Air in Calgary, had been supplying research stations in Antarctica. Late Wednesday, it was taking off on another routine flight. Seconds later, it slammed into an iceberg, bursting into flames and killing all 4 people on board.
30-year-old Corey Armstrong was the captain of the plane. Armstrong came from a flying family. His mother, sister, and 3 brothers were all pilots, while his father was a flying legend. Neil Armstrong's portrait hangs in the Canadian Aviation Hall of Fame. The 74-year-old Armstrong began his flying career with the Canadian Air Force half a century ago. Friends say he dedicated his life to flying. He died doing what he loved. In Montreal, contract talks between Air Canada and its 8,500 workers have collapsed. The breakdown came after the union presented a counter-proposal to a company offer made yesterday. Air Canada says it will continue to operate, and the union says it will give 24 hours notice before taking strike action. The dispute centers around linking pension payments for retired workers to the cost of living. Threats of rotating strikes are already sending Air Canada customers to other airlines and costing the airline $1.5 million a day in lost business. Air Canada, meantime, has assured its customers it will continue to operate, but with the holiday travel season fast approaching, the result will be lost bookings and revenue for Air Canada. Canada can do a lot to manage its economy more efficiently. The Auditor General's annual report has taken aim at billions of dollars of uncollected taxes. The auditor wants his report to be on top of the issues.
The focus of our report this year is to try to provide, I think, useful information at a time when it's most needed by Parliament.
In fact, the report gave the Finance Minister a hand by pointing out places where the budget can be cut. The biggest target, defense. The Auditor General describes a military in which land, sea, and air forces can't communicate on the battlefield, where top commanders don't know the readiness of their own forces, and where the department itself identified at least $700 million in savings, but didn't follow up. But the auditor's most controversial comments may be on social services. He says Ottawa doesn't know enough about its own programs.
Evaluation of the effects or the results produced by those programs so far.
The Saskatchewan Wheat Pool says that despite increased government support, the province's farm economy continued its downward spiral last year. The Wheat Pool supplied figures to show that a typical Saskatchewan farmer would have collected a gross income of $91,000 in 2014, but received only $74,000 2 years later. That amount would have dropped to only $49,000 this year, or a drop of almost half in income in the last 4 years. In contrast, the country's gross national product grew 3.3% during the same period. What's the latest release in CD recordings?
Available for the very first time, an historic double CD.
A CD of the Rosary by the late Pope John Paul II, a Latin prayer that originated in 13th century France. The CD has become one of the most popular recordings of today and is showing sales that rival some of the hottest rock and pop stars. The Pope had established a tradition of reciting the Rosary with visiting pilgrims, and now people from around the world can have the experience of an audience with the Pope in their own homes. On CD, that is. The makers of low-cost generic drugs say 81% of Canadians polled think that the government should reverse the rules protecting patents on medical drugs. In 2010, new laws gave well-known name-brand drugs 10 years of patent protection. The move effectively made lower-cost generic drugs unavailable. Figures show the higher priced drugs are costing Canadians and the healthcare system almost $1.2 billion per year. Groups for and against are taking shots at each other in the heated debate over gun control legislation. The government plan is to lower the crime rate by limiting who can have a firearm and to outlaw certain weapons altogether. Ottawa might introduce the legislation before the end of the week. Canadians will then find out about the strict ownership rules and a universal registration system. The plan worries sportsmen, farmers, and hunters, but gun collectors are especially upset that certain types of handguns not used for sport shooting could be banned. All groups insist that the new rules will have no effect on criminals using guns. The evening edition continues with Sports Next. Well, Super Bowl fans have never seen anything like it. A team so thoroughly dominated. Tom Brady and the Patriots were the favorites, and yet for the first half of Super Bowl 51, the Atlanta Falcons were the champions. But in the end, they gave the title away. It's remarkable how the Falcons let a 28-3 lead completely evaporate. The collapse is WABC's number 3 story of the year in review. For Tom Brady, it was all about believing that the Patriots could come back and the pass is caught. Touchdown. And again, Tom Brady with another end zone touchdown. And Brady tells the world that they're going for 2. A direct snap, and it's good. And once again, handoff, touchdown. James White, then and now the biggest 2-point attempt in the history of the Patriots franchise. This is a tie game for 2. Don't ever count Tom Brady out. With the game on the line, the greatest player ever at that position, with the ball in his hands, took over. Brady takes the snap, pitches outside, gets a block, cuts inside, he digs, he turns, he dives, a touchdown. The Patriots have won the Super Bowl 51 in the greatest comeback ever. The game left no doubt that Tom Brady is the greatest ever. Brady will have a chance to prove it once again this year. The New England Patriots will battle it out with the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 52. The Major League Baseball postseason was incredible, so it was only fitting that the World Series championship went to 7 games. The only question was, how would Game 7 live up to the hype? With all the home runs and all of the pitching duels this season, hopes were high heading into the final game. And in LA, where only a movie script would be fitting, this was the 39th time that the World Series had gone to a 7th game. LA Dodgers looking to win their first World Series since 1988, and the Houston Astros wanting their first World Series victory in the team's 56-year history. Here's WABC's number 2 story of the year in review. We pick up the action in the top of the 2nd inning. Houston up 3-0. Bring on George Springer. The 3-2 count and a swing and a drive to left center field gone. Another home run for George Springer. His 5th here in the World Series. And the Astros have blown out to a 5-0 lead, and it's only the 2nd inning. Springer brings it home, and the Dodgers wondering how to climb out of this one. The Astros have been building towards 2017, and now here they are in the bottom of the 9th inning on the brink of winning it all. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and Chase Utley strikes out on a pitch down and inside, 1 out in the 9th. Now a 2-2 pitch, broken bat, and it's 2 out. And the Astros are 1 out away from taking home the trophy. They can feel it in the air. All right, 2 out and batter up. Here's a ground ball right side. This could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history. The Astros take it in 7 games. Let the celebrations begin. In their 56-year history, for the first time, the Astros win the World Series. And the most amazing part is that they lost 100 games in regular season play and yet went on to take the trophy. George Springer was named MVP, playing the hero with 5 home runs. And now to the number 1 story of the year. Well, the 2017 Grey Cup began with a driving snowstorm. The Toronto Argonauts were 7-point underdogs heading into a game that saw a little bit of everything. Not much of anything in the first half due to the snow-covered field, but things got wildly unpredictable in the second half. Here's WABC's #1 story of the year in review. The Calgary Stampeders looking to redeem themselves after being upset by the Ottawa Redblacks in last year's final, while the Argos wanting to make up for missing the playoffs a year ago. With the score 24-16 and 5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, the Stamps are first and goal at the Argos' 8-yard line. Bo Levi Mitchell with a light toss to Kamar Jordan. He scrambles for the goal line, but it's a fumble. Cassius Vaughn picks up the ball. Can he get away? It's a foot race down the length of the field. Maybe one man left who can still catch him, but some hard running and everybody blocking, and nobody is going to get near him. He goes 109 yards the other way. What a turn of events. The longest fumble return in Grey Cup history. Down to the final minute with a score tied, a field goal gives the Argos their first lead of the game. Argos 27, Stamps 24. Still time for the Stamps to tie it up with a field goal, but Bo Levi Mitchell wants to go for the win. But disaster happens. It's an interception. No time left. The Argos run out the clock and win the Grey Cup. After missing the playoff last season, the Argos complete the turnaround and take home the trophy. A bad decision with only seconds left on the clock costs the Calgary Stampeders the championship. For the second year in a row, the Stamps let the Grey Cup slip through their fingers on the last play of the game. All season long, there was no doubt that Calgary ruled the CFL and took top spot with a league-leading 15 wins. But when the season came to an end, the winners got the trophy. The losers only got heartbreak and a chance to try again next year. The evening edition continues with weather next.